think we're ready for Nicole, Teacher of the Year.
Okay, so welcome. For my part of the PowerPoint, we're also going to be talking about retaining effective teachers and the best way of keeping people beyond that 5-year threshold that we've heard when teachers are very likely to drop out. And when you look at the national survey, it says that over 40,000 teachers were surveyed. Local surveys were done too among Broward County teachers, and there was 500 teachers that responded. That's still not all of the Broward County teachers, but at least it's giving us a sampling of what's going on in Broward. And one of the biggest issues among teachers is effective leadership at their school. I can tell you honestly, as a teacher, I've taught for 12 years in the exact same school because we've had 3 separate principals, but we've had great leadership. And I'm not going to leave a school that has great leadership. And that's something that will not only retain teachers, but it's going to make other people want to work there. And so, as a teacher, that is vitally important. It's just as important as what you're teaching, and it's just as important as everything else that's going on. The second is research has shown schools with high levels of teacher collaboration. Right now, the big push in all schools are what's called PLCs, professional learning communities. And that's where teachers are working with each other collaboratively to figure out what do we need to do to move students. Some of them are working by grade levels, some are working by subject areas, some are integrating subject areas depending on the school. But everyone's trying at this point, what do we need to do? Let's all get together, let's put all of our minds together and share our best practices, what's working, what's not working, and how can we move students. And teachers are finding not only is that effective, but that's going to be effective in retaining teachers. Because you're working together, you're getting the collegiality back into teaching. Differentiated pay is also something that is really big. It's in the new Senate bill that's supposed to, according to the data, help with teachers because it's going to make you work harder to get more money. But if you look at the last one, it says performance pay can be an important strategy to reward and retain great teachers, but recent studies are also showing there's no direct link between the use of performance pay and increasing student achievement. So, although that seems to be where everyone wants to go, no one's seeing students increasing because of it. Again, this is showing, what I said, that, supportive and effective leadership is critical. Mentoring programs for teachers. You heard before that, if it's going to be consequential and a teacher doesn't get highly effective in every single area, they need to be able to improve. And not in a penalizing way, but in okay, what do I need to do to make it to that next step? There needs to be professional development, either in the school, outside, but it has to be offered so teachers can make that. Each year we make what's called a professional growth plan. But we look at where am I at, where are my students at last year, and where are they currently at? And now what do I need to do to move those students? And it's a reflective process where teachers really have to look at themselves and then decide, what do I need to do? And if teachers have those trainings available to them, whether it's through PLCs, whether it's through in-service trainings, then they're going to keep moving students and they're going to keep moving forward themselves. They have on their peer evaluators. That's something, whether it's in your own school, whether it's teachers from other schools coming in, department heads observing other teachers, and just giving teacher-to-teacher feedback. I'm a department chair for social studies in my school. My teachers love when I come in and like, oh, what'd you think of this? How would you do it differently? That's part of teaching. It's nothing that's going to penalize anyone. It's just someone else's feedback on how you're doing, and most teachers welcome that. Instructional coaches. All new teachers that come into Broward County get instructional coaches. And they get people to help them out that first year because everybody knows, we've all been through it. It's not the most entertaining year of your life. It's hard work. So what you want to do is you want to make sure we have excellent instructional coaches that can help teachers. Professional development, here's another one teachers are going to like, needs to be embedded and needs to be relevant to the teacher's job assignment. We don't want to be sending teachers to teacher development that they can't implement in their classroom. It has to be effective. It has to be something that you can actually use. Because otherwise you're not going to see the value in it, and you're not going to see how you can bring it back, at which point it loses all of its validity. Teacher leaders need to be expanded. We need to not only look at the leaders in our school as our principals and assistant principals, but there need to be teachers leading these trainings, teachers talking among themselves and leading the faculty. So it becomes more than just the principal and APs running the school. It needs to be also the teachers running the school and showing what needs to be done in school. The last one here is that compensation strategy should be based on evidence of effectiveness, right? Data, not just somebody coming in, like they said, one time. Has to be consistent data of what's going on. Allowing high-performing teachers to move quickly through salary scales. Nothing says that when you're in, fifth or sixth year, that maybe you shouldn't be making a lot more money because you are highly effective. And those teachers need to be rewarded for being as good as they are as well. I think that would be it. Okay, back to Representative Jenny.
And if we could, can we just have another round of applause for our task force members? And thank you for all the work that you guys put into this. It means a lot. Now we are going to begin our panel discussion. And at this time, I'm going to introduce all of our panel participants. Of course, we have our three task force members, and I will introduce the rest of our panel. Up first, we have Dr. Alyssa Calabrese. Did I say that correctly? I did. The good doctor is the Assistant Superintendent of Professional Development at Broward County Public Schools. Of course, we have Dr. Soria, who we had heard a little bit ago, and Dr. Kirk and Ms. Marsala. And then following that, we have Maggie Zalamia, who is the Director of Public Policy for the Broward Teachers Union. Maggie? Maggie also happens to have the unfortunate position of having to come to Tallahassee repetitively to deal with legislators, so she should get danger pay for that. Up next, we have Alicia Arscott. Alicia is the Director of Strategic Planning for Charter Schools USA. Next up, we have Dr. Jermaine Smith-Baugh. Dr. Smith-Baugh is the President and CEO of the Urban League of Broward County. And finally, the last participant on our panel, Mr. John Pizzula. Please applaud. John is the Public Affairs Director for State Farm Insurance. So first of all, panel, I'll let you settle in and get comfortable. The discussion that we have now will occur as follows. I have a series of 10 prepared questions that I will ask each one of you individually. Please, by all means, if the question is not asked to you directly, if you have something that you need to state on the subject, please don't hesitate and jump in after the participant who was initially asked the question. After that point, I'm going to open up for questions from you, the audience. Now we have microphones set up on each side, so you can just make your way to the microphones when we reach that point. And again, you can ask your questions to any specific individual that you see on the panel, or you can just make a comment on the whole. Please note that we have about 45 minutes for this portion of this evening, so please keep your questions and responses to those questions as brief as possible while still illuminating the issue. Okay, well, we'll get started then. Our first question is for Dr. Soria. Doctor, what are obstacles colleges and universities facing in attracting and keeping quality candidates to be teachers? And what can be done to increase and recruit more individuals to become teachers?
Can you hear me? I think one of the most important obstacles is the perception the American culture has about the profession of teaching. It is not a career held in high regard in the Western world compared to the rest of the world. Another obstacle I think we have is that the high levels of accountability for student achievement with little pay or other kinds of reward. We make doctors and attorneys accountable, but we compensate them. And you wouldn't go into surgery with a doctor who wasn't highly effective and had looked up all of their credentials, but yet we give our children to teachers that are not compensated for the work that they do. And the other obstacle is the support from school leadership. I think that the principal's role is to be the facilitator for learning in that school, and that the leadership needs to do everything possible to provide teachers with the best resources possible to meet the needs of all the students. What can be done to successfully recruit more individuals? Mentor teacher candidates from pre-service through the first 3 years of professional practice by using teacher leaders, like Nicole mentioned, or master veteran teachers who are released from their duties for a certain period of time. It might be costly, but I think the return on investment with those teachers that are leaving in the first 5 years is worth it. Research shows that clinical practice, the field experience in student teaching, is the most critical part of the teacher preparation program, and that we need to work very closely with all our schools, be it charter, public, private, parochial, in terms of placing teachers in those field experiences for that. Sometimes pre-service teachers find out in their first observation, this just may not be my profession, or sometimes they love it, so we never know. And continuous data-driven professional development to improve and master pedagogy addresses student achievement. The students we're teaching today are not the students we're teaching 10 years ago, and we need to make sure that we keep on changing our methodology and our pedagogy to meet the needs of our current students.
Thank you so much.